I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test, part 64. The restoration, that is on page 30, while doing a lunch training, and the lunch training, if you participate in it, that's at your own risk. The restoration. In May 1660, so we know that Oliver Cromwell died in 1658. Oliver Cromwell had the title Lord Protector. And after him for 11 years, we guess after him, so we know that for 11 years it was a republic without Oliver Cromwell. That fits. So in 1658 Oliver Cromwell died, and there was somewhere a period 11 years of a republic without Oliver Cromwell, and these 11 years must be between 1649 and 1660, and they fit exactly between 1658 and May 1660. So these 11 years where Britain was a republic without Oliver Cromwell, that was the time under Richard, or at least Richard was a part of it, and these 11 years started after Oliver Cromwell had been the Lord Protector. So, in May 1660, Parliament invited Charles II to come back from exile in the Netherlands. So, Charles II, Scotland was not in favor of that. Charles I had been killed by the Parliamentary Army in 1649, and they crowned Charles II, the son of Charles I, to the King of Scotland. When Charles II with an army invaded, or what did we use for word? He led a Scottish army into England, but he was defeated by the army of Oliver Cromwell. He fled to Europe, now we know it. He was in the Netherlands, at least at this point in 1660. And on his way to flee from the battles of Dunbar, that was the first, but he fled after the Battle of Worcester, he had hid famously in an oak. So his father is well known for being the last king in the House of Commons, and the son is known for hiding in an oak. To express it again, a bit unsensitive, but we're here to learn it, I guess, many people at least. So in May 1660, the Parliament invited Charles II to come back from exile in the Netherlands. He was crowned King Charles II of England, Wales, Scotland and Ireland. He had been crowned, let's see if it says exactly, the Scots had not agreed to the execution of Charles I and declared his son Charles II to be king, I guess, of Scotland. He was crowned King of Scotland, yes, he was crowned King of Scotland. Now he was invited back 11 years later, and he was So after he had led an army as King of Scotland into England, he was invited back after Oliver Cromwell wasn't alive anymore and his son Richard wasn't that successful to govern and to rule the army. He was invited back and was not only given his title back of Scotland, but also of England, Wales and Ireland. Charles II made it clear that he had no wish to go on his travels again. What does that mean? That's a quote. So they are writing, I'm showing it. Charles II made it clear that he had no wish to go on his travels again. So that is where it starts. So no wish to go on his travels again. That is in quotation. So he says, or something like that, I have no wish to go on his travels again. So it doesn't fit. What does it mean? Maybe we are going to read on after we have started with lunch time. We had just starting with trunk igniter. We're going down. And we're breathing out. And we're breathing again in. Out. Again in. And out. Again in. And out, and we are closing the legs and letting out. Let's go into water squat, and we're pressing with the hand against the upper part of the upper leg. And with the left. And on the other side against the upper part of the upper leg. We're going down into half squat, and we're pressing against the middle part of the leg. And on the other side against the middle part of the leg. And we're going down into three-quarter squat, and we're pressing close to the knee. And the feet. And we're going on to the next exercise. Now down again into 3/4 squat. And we're pressing against the knee. And we come towards the knee. That is a fast giraffe of water pond. Pressing against the knee. Going towards the knee. Press against the knee. Go towards the knee. And this is the last round. And let's do the last exercise of lunge training, which is a squat. That is a propeller. Down into full squat, arms to the outside. We are down and we're pressing against the leg and we're looking up to the other hand. Have a little bend in the elbow. And now into the middle, to the other side. Press against the leg. And into the middle. Now that was the propeller. So, Charles II had become King of England, Scotland and Wales, and Ireland, and he had no intent to go again on his travels. He understood that he could not always do as he wished, but would sometimes need to reach agreement with Parliament. I guess that is a little side wink to his two successors, James I and Charles I. They both believed in the divine rights of kings. That means that they believe that the king is appointed by God to rule. And Charles, for example, if he wanted something and the parliament wasn't agreeing, he just did it without the parliament. But now at one time when he seriously needed money, the parliament wasn't giving it him. The civil war started, and because he was still not willing to agree to an agreement, he was executed. And now Charles II, his son, was not only able to not get captured as his father by hiding in an oak tree and fleeing to Europe, but he also understood that he could not always do as he wished, but would sometimes need to reach agreement with Parliament. And he also didn't want to go and travel again. Generally, Parliament supported his policies. The Parliament with Charles I, so his father, did not agree with him. They did not agree with his religious views and policies, and foreign policies. Now, when he could not get Parliament to agree with his religious and foreign policies, he tried to rule without Parliament. It was somewhere else. Here it was. The Catholics were... Now, many in Parliament were Puritans, a group of Protestants who advocated strictly and simple religious doctrine and worship. They did not agree with the king's religious views and disliked his reforms of the Church of England. That was it. So many Protestant Puritans of the Parliament disagreed with or disliked what Charles I did with as reforms with the Church of England and his religious views. But I'm pretty sure that's just written, that means all the same. These are years and decades together written, so we don't have to pick every part exactly to quote here. These mean both the same, of course. Now to line 1990 lunge, and we're pressing with the hand against the inside of the knee, again with effort. And we're going to do now all exercises through and one. So we're doing them quite short, but therefore light. And press again against the knee. And over to the other side. 9145-degree lunge. Tall up with the back, straight back, and pull the leg up. Over to the other side. Tall up with the back, straight back, and pull the leg up. And over to the other side. 150-degree lunge, and we're pulling a little bit now for the knee at the top of the shin bone, at the leg, and tall up with the back again. And over to the other side, tall up with the back, and pull a little bit underneath the kneecap at the top of the shin bone. And just the last exercise, full lunge, tall up, straight up with the back, and pull a little bit underneath the kneecap. And over to the other side. Full lunge, tall up with the back and pull a little bit underneath the knee. And now we're stretching. One leg with the heel onto the ground. And we're pulling the toes a little bit up. And the other leg with the heel onto the ground. And we're pulling the toes a bit up. Now we're coming up and we're lifting both arms. The legs are standing a bit more, the shoulders are quite apart. We're breathing in. And out, we're doing the crab in the morning and we're opening the chest to the sky. And breathe again in. And out again into the crab in the morning. Again in, close the legs and hands. And out and leaning back. Breathe again in into the middle. And out, leaning again back. And in. And down, we're doing the down diving dolphin. Now bend the right leg. Now bring the heel of the left leg to the left and turn the body to the left. Now bring the toes of the left leg to the left and turn the body to the right. Now bend the left leg and straighten the right. Bring the heel of the right leg to the right and turn the body to the right. Turn the toes of the right leg to the right and turn the body to the left. Bring both feet together and straighten both legs and stretch both legs at the same time. Now breathe in. And out, we're coming up with the up diving swan. And out. And just a closing exercise, the trunk igniter again, we're breathing in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. Out. We're closing the legs. And let's continue for 3 minutes with... What's that chapter? The Restoration. Generally, the Parliament supported Charles II's policies. The Church of England again became the established official church. Both Roman Catholics and Puritans were kept out of power. So the Puritans are not the Church of England. I'm reading it from the sentence. So Charles II came back from the Netherlands and he was crowned King of England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland. The Church of England became again the established church, and neither the Roman Catholics nor the Puritans had the power. During Charles II's reign in 1665, there was a major outbreak of plague in London. You also heard of another plague type called the Black Death. It was in 1385. And where 1/3 of the population of England had died in 1348. In 1348, 1/3 of the population had died, and as people were needed to grow cereal crops, labor shortages were there. The people demanded higher wages, and people left the countryside to go into the town where a strong middle class established, a strong and wealthy middle class established. In Ireland, the Black Death killed many in the Pale, so the region around Dublin. For a time, the area controlled by the English became smaller. So the plague came in 1665 in London. Thousands of people died, especially in poorer areas. So many people died, and I don't think they mean that there were more people poor, and for that more people who had died had been poor, but that because they were poor, they were more likely to die. Thousands of people died, especially in poorer areas. The following year, a great fire destroyed much of the city, including many churches and St. Paul's Cathedral. So in 1665, a plague came. Thousands of people died, especially in the poor areas. And in 1666, there was the Great Fire of London. And many churches, for example, St. Paul's Cathedral, were destroyed. You don't have a picture or anything. but maybe we will get one of St. Paul's Cathedral. London was rebuilt with a new St. Paul's, so it's a new St. Paul's Cathedral, which was designed by famous architect Sir Christopher Wren. So, St. Paul's Cathedral burned down in the Great Fire of London 1666, 1 year after the plague, and was rebuilt, and that was done by the famous architect Christopher Wren. We will continue in the next part. I thank you very much, and the next time.